This is where Kansans who are a cut above come to share their life stories and lessons learned along the way. This week's guest is Donna McClish. She is part of a very small group in Kansas, African American farmers. Donna's family has operated an urban farm in Wichita for more than half a century. She is also founder and CEO of Common Ground Mobile Market and Food Hub. Its mission is to grow and distribute fresh produce to underserved communities across central Kansas. I'm looking forward to hearing all about this and finding out how this hard-working, mission-driven woman makes it all happen. It's Donna McClish for the next half hour, one-on-one. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I'm delighted to welcome Donna McClish to the program. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are a farmer, and when people think about farmers, they do not think about a black farmer wearing a John Deere cap on a tractor farming. So how many black farmers are there in Kansas? And how did your farming all come about?
There aren't very many black farmers in Kansas. We're part of the Kansas Black Farmers Association, and the numbers have been dwindling not only in Kansas but across America. So there's not very many black farmers in Kansas. We got our start more than 50 years ago when our parents purchased a farm in Wichita, Kansas, 40 acres, and there were 12 children there. So we moved from kind of a urban, kind of rural area in Wichita, Kansas, to the farm, which is now urban, considered urban. But at that time, it was in the country because there was no highways, no roads, no anything connecting us. So we were originally in the country, part of Wichita. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you said the black farmers are dwindling in Kansas.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, there's several reasons. One, farming is no longer a livelihood that can be supported by farming only. Most farmers have a spouse or someone that works off the farm to provide extra income. There's the healthcare issues. Money is one of the primary issues that farming is becoming less and less a viable income in America and in Wichita and in the rural areas in America. Mm.
So how does your farm do it?
Our farm, we are blessed, and our family does a lot of chipping in financially to support what we do. We've been able through the pandemic to acquire grants to support our farming, and that has helped quite a bit.
But you are feeding a lot of people. Is it free?
No, we do. Common Ground feeds several ways.
Okay.
First of all, we work with a network of growers that provide food for us, including our farm. Oh. So we purchase from those growers. Oh. And our goal is to move the food. We move the food to the most vulnerable communities, elderly, low income, and those people that need the food. You can purchase online through Common Ground. We have a senior market food voucher program that seniors purchase through. We purchase through SNAP EBT and are part of the Double Up Foods program. And then if somebody needs something free, we give it to them free.
I see. So in your wildest dream when you were growing up, was farming on your mind? Did you plan to become a farmer?
No, sir. I did not. I did not plan to become a farmer. I didn't plan to be driving big vans and vehicles full of vegetables. None of that. I thought about becoming a doctor, a journalist, and then I went into teaching. So I have my degree in master's degree in education, curriculum, and instruction. And not until 2014 did I take on the mantle of the mobile market and farming with my brothers.
So you're talking about your brothers. I know that not all members of your family are involved in the farming business.
Correct.
Some of them live in other cities and states.
Yes.
But how, when you and your siblings were growing up, did you think about the farming business? What's the thought, and how do you support each other in this business you're in?
Well, when we were growing up, we lived in a kind of a country rural setting in Wichita, and we did not think about the farming business. In 1968, my parents, we were forced to move from our properties. So my parents had the foresight and the insight to buy a farm where they could put all these kids. And my dad was a farmer.
When you said forced to move, please explain that.
Well, we were in a place called the North End in Wichita, and now it's the industrial park on 29th Street.
Ah.
When you go down the highway, down 29th Street, you see I-35, you see Dole, Excel. That's the area, and the silos, that's the area we lived in. So it was bought out.
And you owned that property?
We owned that property. And my dad built houses, he had several businesses, but we were bought out, and then we had to move. And so they located a farm on 33rd Street.
Tell us about your childhood.
I'm the oldest of 12, 11 living. But I learned that I've had 3 other brothers, so there's 15 of us in all. My childhood was, being the oldest, there was a lot of responsibility. It was a good childhood. My father was my hero. He taught me how to cook and do all of that good stuff. He was in the Navy. He was a chef in the Navy on the ship. My mother was always wanted to be a missionary, so she was a community advocate. So we had a lot of community input and community involvement as we grew up.
So what compelled you, Donna, to carry on the family tradition of farming? What was that thing that got into you to say, we have to continue this?
Well, a lot of this I learned later after we got into this part of farming. In 2014, my brothers were raising vegetables, and they asked me, what do we do with all these vegetables? And just kind of off the top of my head, I said, let's start a farmer's market. It was my thought to have the farmer's market on the farm a couple of Saturdays a month and sell vegetables, really simple. So we made an appointment with Bev Dunning at the K-State Extension Office. And she was the director there for 50 years. And in sitting down talking with her, we learned that she used to go out to the farm with my mother on the porch and teach cooking and sewing classes, which we didn't know about. So Bev said, yes, go ahead with it. And after the meeting, it was my intent to just do the market. So I'm driving down the street and my phone is blowing up and people are saying, what are you getting ready to do? Or what are you doing? And I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. So my sister-in-law finally said, you need to stop at the gas station, it was a gas station then, and pick up a newspaper. And on the front of the newspaper, it had Bev Dunning's picture, retiring extension director. And the first byline under the fold was Donna McClish is going to start a farmer's market.
And that's you.
That was me. That was not my intent. So when we went to Bev's, Miss Dunning's retirement party, I said, thank you for throwing me under the bus. And she said, oh, you can do it. You can do it. So from there, we looked at kind of having the market on the farm. And there's a program called Senior Market Voucher Program, where seniors get a booklet of vouchers, $35 worth they can spend only at a farmer's market. Well, everyone knows that we're in a food desert area, and it just didn't start. The people that needed to take those market vouchers to the market didn't have transportation to do that. So a friend of mine asked me, she said, Donna, would you come to our center so they can use the food market vouchers? And I said, sure. So that was the first center in 2014. And then CP AAA, the aging department, said, we've been trying to solve this problem for 2 years. Can you take on some more centers? I said, sure. So we went to 7. And from there, we do 35 to every 2 weeks. Senior centers, low-income centers, and that's how we got started with the Mobile Market, Mobile Food Hub.
So sometimes it's good to be thrown under the bus.
Under the bus, and run over a couple of times.
So for those siblings who are in the farming business with you, how do you make a difference in each other's life?
Oh, my brother David is the farming person. He does the farm managing and the planting and the growing and the harvesting. And he's really been the inspiration to keep me going, because Common Ground cannot be who it is and what it does without Pearson's Farms. So he's my inspiration.
So Donna, what is the plan then to keep the tradition going by your family, the farming tradition? Any plans?
Oh yes, we have plans. We're going to keep the legacy going. We have with me my nephew Matthew David. He's the 3rd generation. So we're involving them in our support team and our future planning. We plan to, my daughter, son-in-law, and family members are involved. So we don't want this to stop with me or with my brother David. We want it to keep on going. Then we have a 3rd generation tribe that is on Facebook that keeps closely, connects closely with us. So we plan to keep this legacy going.
Tell us about the other black farmers. What are they doing? Are they going to go out of business or continue the tradition as you plan to?
Most black farmers would intend to keep their traditions and plan their traditions. However, we've got several issues with black farmers, like heirs property, being able to acquire the property that you are inherited without any issues. We've got financial problems for black farmers. We've got black farmers that are barely holding on to their land. So there's some issues that we need to look at with socially disadvantaged and black farmers. And I'm hoping that this new administration will do just that.
Okay, Donna, we play a little game, word association game on this program, and I like to do that with you.
Okay.
Because it will give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better.
All righty.
All right? So tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear a word or phrase out of my mouth. The first one, rural Kansas.
Farms, wheat fields. Mm-hmm.
Urban Kansas.
Growing in small parcels and lots, growing in small spaces.
Tolerance.
Tolerance, learning to work together with everyone.
Delicious food.
Picked out of the garden.
And fresh, right?
Fresh, yes.
Good music.
Jazz.
Oh. Family fun.
Our large July 4th get-togethers.
Anxiety.
Staying in farming.
Uh-oh.
Yes. How to make it work.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
It's a challenge.
Relaxation.
Reading.
Purpose.
Discovering your purpose as early as possible and then doing it.
The biggest challenge you faced.
The biggest challenge I faced. I think holding on to my parents' legacy. Yeah.
How challenging has that been?
It's been challenging in that you can have a purpose, you can know your purpose. The challenge is to live out your purpose and be able to fulfill your purpose even when you have support or no support. And people will eventually see your purpose and see how they're involved in your purpose and then come on board.
And the final one is biggest mistake as a farmer.
Biggest mistake. Thinking too small.
Wow. Impressive.
Thank you.
So you've talked about your family. What about your personal family? Children? Will they be involved in the farming business?
I have 7 children. I do have a set of twins,
Ah,
a boy and a girl.
as I do,
Yes.
except they're 2 boys.
They will be involved. I see them being involved more as they get older. I see my daughters here and son-in-law, and I see it becoming a solidified family business, because what Common Ground does is going to be expanded to other cities and other towns. So I feel that my children in those cities and towns are being prepared to expand what we do in their town and city.
If there's a young black person watching this program right now who may be interested in farming, what would you say to him or her?
I would say get connected to some farmers, connect to your extension agent, become knowledgeable of the resources that are available, and just do it.
Tell us about the greatest lessons you've learned in life.
The greatest lessons I've learned in life is that when you are fulfilling your purpose, it's a walk of faith, and you may not know where you're going, but if you keep walking it out, you'll get there.
So what are, Donna, some concrete ways we could make Wichita a better place for everybody?
Well, one of the things Common Ground and Pearson's Farms is doing is providing fresh, healthy food to those most vulnerable. We have a Seniors First program where seniors 65 and older in 67219, 67214, and 67208 zip codes, we prepare their food boxes free. And we started doing that during the pandemic. Good, healthy food builds good, healthy minds. And food is a way to bring communities together. Also, we need to look at our mental health issues in Wichita. And food also is a binder, a glue that can bring all of our systems together, so Wichita is not so fragmented in what it does. And yes, I think Wichita has a lot of potential.
I agree. For someone who has dedicated her life helping to feed others, what does life mean to you today?
I think I'm enjoying it probably as best. I mean, I'm enjoying it more than I've ever enjoyed it. I like getting out in the dirt. I like getting out on the farm. I like picking vegetables. I like picking the vegetables up, putting them on the van. Now that I have my son-in-law, he sometimes says he doesn't need me to do that. I need to be managing it more, but I really like the hands-on. Yeah.
What is the vision for Common Ground that you have?
The vision for Common Ground is to expand what we do to feed as many people across America as we possibly can.
What is life like for a black farmer in Kansas? Describe it.
It's difficult. It's financially difficult. It can be socially difficult. But I think we're on the upswing as black farmers in Kansas. We've got some support, and I think we're gonna be okay.
So what happened to your teaching career?
Well, I taught and substituted for several years, and then when I started doing the mobile market, it takes up all of my time.
So that is a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. As a CEO, it's a full-time job.
So you're saying then that you can get a master's degree in the field and yet be a farmer?
Oh yes, because everything you've learned in life, farming does. Farming has math, it has reading, it has science. Farming is all of the STEAM and STEM elements to it. So you can take a child and put them on the farm, and you can teach them to count eggs.
Right.
You can teach them to what food comes from, the process of food, the breakdown of food, the biochemical process of food, chemistry, how this reacts with this. So farming can teach the children, give children and families a well-rounded educational source.
So after you have breathed your last breath and arrived at the pearly gates, what's the first thing you hope that God would say to you?
Well done. You did what I asked you to do, and you did it well.
Is there anything else you like to do in life?
Oh, there's lots of things. I want to do some traveling, but I want to see food available to everyone that needs food, good, healthy food. That's my goal.
For those who don't know you, describe yourself. Who is Donna McClish?
Well, I can be a little bossy. I kind of stick to my task. I'm a Christian woman, and I like organizing. I like taking things that are not yet formed and organizing them from the ground up.
What examples do you have?
Common ground.
Common ground,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I like to move on to the next project.
So what is that next project?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet.
So when you leave the farming business, would you be able to remove yourself completely from it?
Probably not, because I'm deeply involved with the National Farmers Union, the Kansas Farmers Union, K-State Extension. So, and it's funny you should ask, because right now I'm moving into the platform of being presentations, doing presentations across the country. So I think that's probably my next, being a spokesperson for farmers.
Is it presentation about what you do here in
Yes.
Wichita? So what is the thrust of your message?
The thrust of my message is that if you pay a farmer an equitable wage continually, he can raise food to feed the community, and we can develop a food system that is not, that will not collapse if we ever have another pandemic.
Explain that a little more. Equitable wage,
Equitable.
meaning put all farmers on salaries,
I think so.
and just let them farm
Let them farm
and pay them every month.
and let them sell their produce and pay I mean, we've done it for a lot of other organizations and people, pockets of people in America. Why not pay the farmer an equitable wage so he has health care, so he can support his family, so he can maintain his farm, he can grow food for the community then can eat, and we'll have well communities, whole communities.
That's something that the farmers would love to hear more about,
That's right.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Right. Wow. It's been a pleasure having you on this program. You are a mother, a teacher, a farmer, and I heard some scientist in you too. Farm science.
Well, when you're on the farm and you have a brother that's a chemist, you can't help but do that.
Well, thank you so much for joining me one-on-one, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching this edition of One-on-One. If you have a question or comment, here's our email address, oneonone@kpts.org. Please tell us what you think of this program. Until next time, I'm Victor Hogstrom. Play it safe, and I'll see you again soon.